I never expected to feel so alive again at 45. Most people assumed that by then, especially after a rough divorce, you'd settle into something quiet, maybe even lonely. My name is Vanessa Cooper, and after 20 years of marriage that ended in silence, bitterness, and a pile of legal documents, I moved back to my small hometown in Oregon hoping for peace, not passion. But what I found instead was something that shook me to my core. The house I moved into belonged to my late aunt. It was old, creaky, with ivy creeping along the side and windows that needed replacing. But it felt like a place to start over. I took up part-time work at the local library, began repainting the walls on weekends, and spent most nights with wine, soft music, and memories I didn't always want to revisit. Then came Arthur Whitmore. He was 70, a retired carpenter with silver hair, a warm laugh, and a reputation for being a gentleman to everyone in town. People adored him. I remembered him from my childhood, vaguely, a friend of my father's, always helping build things, fix things. But now he lived just 2 houses down from me, alone ever since his wife passed away a few years ago. Our first real interaction happened over something mundane. The back porch steps were rotting, and I was trying to hammer in a nail with the grace of a toddler. He appeared on my lawn with a tool belt, grinning like someone who had seen this play out before. "You're gonna hurt yourself," he said. I turned and squinted. "Arthur Whitmore?" "Guilty," he said, stepping closer. "Let me help. You'll thank me when your ankle's not in a cast." I laughed, a little embarrassed but grateful. He was efficient, precise. His hands, rough but confident, knew exactly where to place each nail, how to brace the wood, how to keep things sturdy. He moved with the kind of patience only time could teach. I made him lemonade and sat on the steps watching him work. It was innocent enough, at first. Just neighborly kindness. But something shifted that day. I noticed the way he looked at me. Not inappropriately, never that, but with a calm attentiveness I hadn't seen in a man in years. He listened. He spoke in full thoughts, not text messages. And when he smiled, it wasn't performative. It felt real. I invited him over for dinner the next week to thank him for his help. I cooked lemon garlic chicken and roasted potatoes, and we talked for hours. He told me stories about his late wife, Caroline, about his years traveling the country restoring old homes, and about how much he missed holding a paintbrush. I told him about my ex-husband, about how I once dreamed of becoming an artist, about how lost I'd felt turning 45. He didn't offer pity. He just nodded. "You've still got time," he said. "Plenty of it." It became routine after that. He'd stop by during my home projects. We'd eat together now and then. I'd bake for him. He'd bring me wood carvings, little things, delicate flowers, birds, initials. The town gossiped. They always do in small places. But he never crossed a line. Not until the day I fell off the ladder. I was cleaning the gutters when the ladder slipped, and though I didn't fall far, I twisted my ankle landing. Arthur was there in under a minute, kneeling beside me, his face lined with worry. "Let me take a look," he said, gently removing my shoe, inspecting the swelling. His touch was careful, deliberate, like he'd done this 1,000 times. His hands moved over my skin not like someone staking a claim, but like someone remembering a song they hadn't heard in years. I didn't flinch. I let him hold me. He carried me inside, set me on the couch, wrapped the ankle, and stayed until I fell asleep. When I woke up, I found a note beside me that read, "Call me if it hurts." Or even if it doesn't. That night, I stared at the ceiling, questioning everything. Why was I drawn to this man who was 25 years older? Why did his presence soothe me in ways no one else had? Why did his silence feel louder than most people's words? Days passed. I couldn't stop thinking about his hands. Not just how they felt, but what they carried. Years of building, of nurturing, of knowing how to treat something fragile. One evening, I invited him over again, and we sat side by side on the couch, an old movie playing in the background. "I've been thinking," I started. He looked over, waiting. "I know what people might say about us." He raised an eyebrow. "Is there an us?" There was a long silence. Then I said, "There could be." He didn't move, didn't smile. just studied me with eyes that had seen so much more of life than mine ever would. I don't want to be someone's midlife adventure, he said softly. I'm not a fantasy. I don't want you to be, I replied. I want something real. He leaned back, his fingers brushing against mine. Then let's take our time. And we did. There were no grand declarations. No rush. Just quiet mornings with coffee on the porch. Dinners made together. Long walks through the neighborhood where our shadows stretched together across the sidewalks. He touched me like he was reading Braille, learning the story I never told anyone, gently, reverently. I began painting again. He turned the old garage into a studio for me. Said it was about time I made something beautiful for myself. Sometimes he'd stand behind me while I worked, his hands resting lightly on my hips, not to claim, but to anchor. To remind me I was still here, still whole. One night, I asked him why he never remarried after Caroline. He smiled wistfully. I didn't think I'd feel anything that deep again. Until you. It was never about age with Arthur. It was about timing, about understanding, about two people who had both lost, both hurt, both lived enough to know how rare it is to be seen without being judged. One rainy night, I lay curled beside him on the couch, his arm wrapped around me, his hand resting over my heart. I told him, "Your hands know me better than anyone ever has." He pressed his lips to my forehead and whispered, "That's because I listen with them." Months passed. The town got used to seeing us together. My daughter, Emily, who had been skeptical at first, came to adore him. She once told me, "Mom, he treats you like a person, not like a problem to fix." It wasn't always easy. His health had its moments. Some days were slow, but we built something gentle, enduring, something no one else needed to understand. On my 46th birthday, he gave me a locket with a tiny painting inside, my own work, one I had forgotten I even made. "You taught me how to start again," I told him. He smiled, lifting my hand to his lips. "And you reminded me I'm not done loving." So no, it wasn't conventional. It wasn't what people expect when they picture love in midlife. But it was real. It was mine. And every time his hands touched mine, whether while cooking, painting, or just walking side by side, I knew this wasn't about age or years lost. It was about choosing each other every day, quietly, tenderly, fully. And that is a truth I will always carry with me.